Hi, I would like to welcome you today to our presentation on smoother project management. And what we want to focus on today is just using technology to help smooth out all of that project management complaints and issues that seem to come up. Today we're going to be using the Sage Project Center as an example of the project management and using that to help with project management. So let's just move into the agenda. With the agenda today, what we want to talk about is project management and managers' biggest complaints, and what do they seem to say over and over again about project management. And then we want to take a look at just what the project management tools and the options that are out there and what they do. And then we're going to be using, as I said, the Sage Project Center as an example to go through the management, the reports, the documents, and the cost. And then finishing off with, okay, now, is it going to actually solve those project management issues and the complaints that are from the project managers that we addressed above? And then finishing off with, is it right for you? Okay? So let's talk about the biggest complaints. So the biggest complaints lots of project managers have is this improved communication and collaboration between the back office, the field, the vendors, the subcontractors, the partners. How do you keep everybody in the same loop? How do you keep everybody so that they're addressed with exactly the right information on what's going on? And this seems to be where most project managers spend their time on the phone, continually trying to keep everybody in the loop. And this is very, very difficult and one of the major complaints that they all have. Excuse me. Then maintaining control over change orders, plans, and related approvals. And again, what happens is you have a change of plans. How do you know that you've got the right revision of the plan? How do you know that that didn't go from being an 8-inch wall to a 9-inch wall? And somebody didn't tell you and therefore got built wrong. Now you got to tear it out and start over again. So this is one of the other complaints is how do you make sure that all the revisions are up to date, everybody's got the right plans? Next one is fighting to keep a project on time and on budget. If you do not have accurate information on what the actual original estimates and budgets are and what the change orders and the change in estimates are, it is extraordinarily difficult to keep a project on time and on budget. And so again, how do we keep all of these things happening at the same time? The fourth one in here is improve accountability. And again, what happens is how do you keep everybody on the same accountability page where somebody can't go back and say, oh, you didn't tell me that. You don't have any logging and tracking that they actually approved it. Or you don't have all of the activity reported on a day-to-day basis. And so again, the improving the accountability so everyone is held accountable. You told them how to do it once. You told them it was an 8-inch wall, not a 9-inch. Therefore, make sure that they got it right. And then reducing the risk of litigation. In today's world, we seem to be in a world where everybody seems to want to sue everybody else. And so it's maintaining the document management, the control and tracking so that you've got all of this stuff. And it's very, very difficult when it's a manual system. So project managers as a whole, this is their major complaints. There's probably other ones that you guys have got. But realistically, what we're trying to do is just address these main ones right now. So finger pointing, and this is a great slide because you look at it and you go, okay, as soon as the project started, I mean, they haven't even got the structural steel up yet, and they're already pointing fingers at who did what wrong. And this tends to happen in lots of projects because everybody wants to make somebody else be at fault. And so what we're trying to accomplish with these project management systems is just move into a place where you've got project management visibility. And so in one place, you've got the latest documents, the latest drawings, the latest photos, where you can ensure that everybody is working with the current information, right? You want to make it so that you've got a paper trail. You don't have to phone up everybody to make sure that they've got it. You can give it and make sure you're having a discussion about it. And this includes not just the people in the project, but the subcontractors, the vendors, the suppliers. Everyone that's involved in the project needs to be accountable and be able to have visibility into the project that they need. And so addressing it from the next slide here. Really what we're talking about with these web-based project management solutions is this web-type application where everyone, the owner, where the field superintendents, project managers, subcontractors, vendors, suppliers we were talking about, all of your operating people as far as the VPs, the CEO, the operation guys, the estimators, everybody keeps in exactly the same loop. And really what it does is it negates the requirement so you don't have to be on the phone all the time to try to do this. So what you've got is this visibility into the overall project. So what kind of documents can you have in these type of project management solutions? And so really we could have, and here's like 8 of them that are out, and there's way more, but understand, I mean, it's the submittals, it's the RFIs, it's all of the drawings, it's the minutes, it's the daily logs. So all of the information related to a project is all stored in one place where everybody that needs access to it can. So you change a drawing, it moves up. So let's just go in and just take a look at what some of the options are. So here's some of the options that are out there in the project management world, right? And so some of these are extraordinarily expensive. And there's a couple other here in the Sage world. And we're going to be talking about the Sage Construction Project Center, which integrates straight back into the accounting system on the back end, which certainly makes it way more functional. But there's also project management that you can actually get in the Sage Service and Operation module as well. It doesn't go as far as the Project Center, but it really depends on what you need for a project management point of view. And so, yeah, there's lots of options out there, but understand this, they are not all created equal, okay? The bottom end is, if they do not integrate with your back-end accounting and all of the other information flowing from your back office, front office, middle office, the vendors, everything else, then the systems become much less useful and much less valuable to your organization. And they're not that expensive either. I mean, really, you can pick up a Sage Project Center for right around about $50 a project manager. And if you cannot gain $50 worth of value out of a system per month for a project management, I would eat my hat. So really, if that's where the whole thing comes into, is there's lots of options out there. So let's just understand what these differences are. And so from a project center overview, really if we're looking at it, here's your overall project management. And so back in the back office, that's this blue stuff down in here where we're talking about all of the budgeting, scheduling, and everything else, right? But realistically, we can have service operation, which really automates the field automation out in the field with the timesheets and everything else being collected into here. There is some project management information which is available in that particular module. The one we're talking about today is these like a project center, and really these hang off of the project system itself, where all of this information is available also out on the web. And so what we're going to be looking at today is the Sage Project Center, and what it is it's this side type project management solution, which really goes further than what some of these other ones do. But it really depends on what your company needs as far as which one of these solutions you might want to take a look at it, and where the biggest cost benefit is to your particular company. So let's just dive in and say, okay, let's take a look at the Sage Project Center as an example and say, okay, what is it going to give me for project management that'll make things smoother for me as far as the project management is concerned? So, all right, if we can log into a system, and the first thing you can do is come in and you can take a look at a dashboard, you can see exactly what's going on with your project. So whether this is an owner or one of the main project management guys, they can look at their project. They can see exactly how much has been spent. They can see exactly what the costs are. They can see what's going on as far as the RFIs. They can see whether there are any of them late. They can see submittals and what's late and what's done or what's overdue. And so with this bird's eye view, you'll get a complete understanding of what's happening with your project. And these can be controlled, so whoever logs in can get access to various pieces of this. So we can control all of that. But what we can do is you can give this overview snapshot, and this is real time what's happening on that project. And so let's just go to the next one. So we've got the dashboards, great. So let's just deal with it now. And you can see when we go into project management, we've got multiple tabs that we've got up here, and we're looking at the project management piece of it. And so it's the transmittal and open issues and submittals and minutes and RFIs, and we've got all of this information which is collectible in here. So we can go into the daily logs, and now what it'll do is it'll open up a daily log of all of the information which is coming in on a daily basis on your project. So understanding if this is coming in from a tablet, it actually grabs all of that information on your current location and what the weather is. So all of that will be put in here without the project manager having to add it. But think of the reduced liability. If you've got all of the information on a day-to-day basis, right, that you've had a meeting in the morning about safety, you talked about, by the way, watch out for that overhead power wire. Do not hit it. And then if something happens where the overhead power wire gets hit, right, then you can go back there and say, hey, we had a meeting in the morning. All of that is documented and done. Right? And so what this is really helping with is being able to track that activity that was a complaint for your project managers, helps reduce some of the risk that the project managers are complaining about, right? And what it does, it allows you to attach documents right in here. So down at the bottom, you'll see that this earth prep. And so if somebody's got a picture of it because it's coming from a smartphone or something, take the picture, embed it right into the daily field log, and then what it does is it shows up at exactly what the situation is, and you've got the documentation built in without having to spend a ton of time doing it. So the system can really help you by giving you all of these views into the system, daily log being one of them. And this is certainly one of the ones that certainly helps the litigation. So now let's just go through and say, okay, now who's going to get access? So in this job, you saw one of those tabs being the setup. And in here, we've got full control of exactly who gets access to what in every one of the projects. Okay, so we can define who the architect, who they are, who we need to send it to. These guys are responsible for this particular portion, whether it's the job phase or the roles that they're playing inside that project. But we can set that all up by project. So if I need to send off something with regards to the people that are involved in the foundation work, I can send it off as a mass email, and it's only going to send it to the people that are involved. Okay, so we can really slice and dice and see who gets access to what into the system. But understand, these same systems can log in and they can show a subcontractor one particular view, but a superintendent another view. Okay? So let's go to the next one on the project management side, which is those RFIs, and just controlling all of this information. So let's say that you've got this subcontractor who has to build the concrete foundation wall that we were talking about. And on one of the plans it says 8 inches, and on the other one it says 9. Okay, so now they're going to come back with a request for information. So all of these requests for information are tracked. So the subcontractor can initiate the request, right? It would go to who, which would be the project manager. The project manager is going to say, hey, the architect needs to look at this. So the architect gets involved in that loop. All of those communications, all of those emails, even if you CC some of those emails to somebody else, is all tracked inside of the solution automatically so that you know exactly what's going on. Then once all of the information is cleared up and the guy says, oh yeah, it's clear that it's a 9-inch wall, not an 8-inch wall, then what happens is the project manager, all he has to do is just sign off and say, hey, this RFI has been answered, everything's done on it, move forward. Okay? So think about the collaboration, communication that they're complaining about, and how this makes it so much easier to keep track of. It also reduces your risk on somebody actually putting in the wrong information or doing the wrong thing. So let's move into the next slide. So you can see that we're doing this with the RFIs. But now if we go to the next one, right, what we're talking about is, okay, let's go into project reports. Okay? So now again, if you need to generate any report out of a thing, out of the projects with regards to the project, you can do it from anywhere as long as you've got the authority to do so. You see, we're looking at the same tabs, and all we've done is really moved across over to the reporting tab. I apologize, this is not showing up here. But really what happens is it gives you a listing of all the reports. And so if I go in and say, okay, I want to generate the submittal report, and this is saying, okay, here's all your submittal detail, and here's the ones that are outstanding. These are the ones that are approved or not approved. It's giving you all of the information about that at your fingertips whenever you want it. Now, lots of times you may not want to print it off, but lots of us mere humans, where we're sitting down trying to figure out what's going on sometimes, I like to have a piece of paper in front of me. But understanding is that you can print them at any time in any of the locations out of the system. Okay? All right. So let's just move into the next one, which is the document management and project documents. And so really what we want to take a look at is this, is that inside of a project, on all projects, you've got tons of documents that are being generated. And how do you keep track of them? Right now, you've probably got this massive manual file where you're photocopying stuff and you're shoving it in there. Well, the point is that you don't need to do that. And so all of the plans can be listed. All of the specs can be listed. These systems are capable of unlimited data files, so you can just keep storing all of the information, pictures, and everything else that you need about a project so that you've got it at your fingertips when you need it. And again, what this does is it reduces the risk because you've got all of the documentation there. It reduces and helps with the collaboration and communication because everybody can take a look at the same thing. And it certainly helps you control your change orders because all of those changes are in here underneath the plan folder with all of the revisions and everything so that you've got the latest revision of it. You can see that in here, I know this is kind of small, but really what it's talking about is what revision number was it that you're talking about. Okay? So in here, and this is one of the ones I think is one of the biggest benefits for the document management, and it's just really this closeout document folder. And so understanding is at the end of a project where you've got all of the information about the original plans, the change orders, the change plans, all of the stuff that happened with subcontractors. All of that information can be put together very, very easily and then sent to your owner of the project so you can give it to them on a USB drive or anything where they can get delivered all of the documentation that you need to finalize the document. And if you look at your own companies, whenever you do a closeout, you've probably got one of your junior engineers or somebody else spending hundreds of hours sometimes with the big project just assimilating all of these closeout documents. And inside these systems, that can happen with a push of a button. Okay? All right, let's take a look at one other thing. And this is kind of a sideline, but understand inside these systems as well, you see this bid package, right? But there's actually a bid management available as well. And so it's really outside of what we want to talk about today, but understand that's that all of the bid packages up front before you actually start the project, where you're going out and getting all of the bids in for subcontractors, for the electrical, for the mechanical, all of that information and control of who sent it out, when it got sent out, whether they actually put the bid back in or not, can all be controlled in these systems as well. Okay? All right. So let's go into the project cost management, one of the other tabs. Now remember, so what we've done is we've gone through the project options. We've looked at the setup, we've looked at the events and messages, we've looked at the project management information, we've got reporting and documents. Now we're looking at the cost management piece. And so really what happens is this, and this is where the strength of integration really starts to shine, is if you've got it linked with your back office accounting system where all of the information in the accounting is flowing through. So as timesheets come in, it is actually flowing into this project management information. It becomes much, much more valuable to you as a project manager because all your stuff is happening real time. Okay? And so let's just take a look at the information that can be available in here. And so if we go into one of the slides, again, what we're doing is now this is a summary that we're looking at for the projects. And so the original amounts, the pending changes, the approvals, right? And so it's giving you all of the information with a snapshot on what's going on with your project like those dashboards did before, but in a more definitive, defined way, okay? And so again, this certainly helps with accountability because everybody knows what's going on with the subcontractors, with the material, with the equipment being used on the job, right? All of it is being tracked in here and you can see what's going on real time. Okay? If you look up here, you'll see that this little thing, this project was last synced on. And so you can set this thing up where it is actually, I think it's linking down to as fine as every 30 seconds, it'll go grab the information. But understand, it really depends on how fast your systems are. And so you may want to slow this thing down, but it depends on how close to real time you really want to have your information. Okay? But it's syncing with your back office all the time. So we'll get it in there. Then let's take a look at, okay, the next one. Let's talk about estimates now, right? Because project managers are complaining about how do you keep things on budget? Well, the only way to keep it on budget is to make sure you've always got the budgets in mind. And so understand original estimate, $87,000, pending change estimates out there of a $9,200, right? Well, so as this thing goes up or down, it's going to tell you what the total estimates are, right? And it's going to tell you what's going on so you can see whether you're over or under on any of this stuff. So realistically, what it's doing is it's giving you that visibility into the overall project so that you as a project manager or the various subordinates on there, if the other people are doing other foremen on various sections of the particular project, they can look at their particular pieces as well. But it certainly gives you that availability to help you stay on budget and on time because you've got all of these cost codes which can be customized based on every job and based on any company, so they're not just written in there, right? You can change all of those, and they are coming and driven straight back from your back office accounting system. Okay? So the other side of it is, okay, let's look at it even in more detail. So if we're looking at it by cost code overview, again, we're getting the same kind of information, but in a little bit of a different view, right, where we're looking at it now by cost codes. And so again, all we're doing is we're just moving across tabs at the top. Very easy to use, very easy to understand, right? And you can't break anything in here. But what happens is this, is that you define the cost codes and then you define all of the estimating. Once it's in here, it's automatically in there to be tracked and kept track as far as actuals. Okay. Also, commitments. I mean, again, so now if we drill down through into the commitment side of it, I mean, what we're looking at now is the commitments we've made to various vendors in the organization and what they're doing. So, sprinkler contractors are doing the fire protection, and the original amount was $32,000 that we committed to them on the job, right? And so, is there any change orders or anything pending on it with regards to plans? And again, it's keeping all of this synced stuff as far as the commitments, because it's pulling commitment information from your back-end accounting system again. Okay? So all of the POs that are being generated are all flowing through into this system, and they're up here for tracking so that your project managers have got the latest information available. Okay. Now, the next slide that I want to just show you, and this is one of the most important ones of all, I think, as far as a project manager on the bigger projects especially. But this particular one allows you to do project management cost forecasting. And so understanding what they'll is able to do is you can come in here and say, okay, on a real-time basis, what have we actually spent on this particular thing? How much is committed and where are we at? Okay? And you might be able to go walk around the project and you say, okay, listen, this thing says that it's 80% done, and you're going through there and you're going, hey, there's no way that's 80% done. It's only 50%. So let's change these numbers in here. And what it will do is it says, okay, if you've already spent this much and you're only 50%, it'll go back and recalculate and say, by the way, it looks like you're going to lose 50,000, right? And it's going to let you do that and do what-if analysis on the fly in the back end so that you can really see what's going on with your project. Now, there might be other stuff that's happening, but you as a project manager can really come in here and help yourself see whether this project is on time, on budget, and what's going on. Or you can see that something's really gone awry in this particular cost code. And again, these are cost codes that you guys have generated. But that particular cost code, you say, okay, listen, that's going to be $100,000 over. So therefore, we've really got to start cutting corners on some of this other stuff to try to keep this project on budget. Okay? So a very, very valuable piece which is in there. Now understand, this stuff is available in the back office accounting usually as well, right? But what we're doing is we're giving you this information out in the field as well as the back office. So you've got your choice of where you want to run it. So let's take a look at the next one. So, and it's project offline apps. So there's apps also available for these particular project management utilities, at least the good ones anyway, where you can offline be able to accumulate information, right? Or it can go and grab the information that was done from before, look up like this is another daily field report. And again, it's got all your temperatures and stuff and what's going on the particular job. But what this is doing is I can get this offline. I can get it on a tablet, I can get it on my smartphone, I can get it on my laptop. And so what it does is it gives you way more flexibility. So if you happen to be working in a location that does not have any cell service or any web access, you can still keep on managing your project. You've got all the most current information since you were last in line. If you're working up north, which we have some of our clients doing, where they tend to be, way off in the bush someplace working, they don't have any access. They could have downloaded all of the information, had all of it on the app. They'd be able to real time be able to enter it all and keep track and manage the project. As soon as they get back into their hotel at the end of the day when they're doing their end, it'll update all of that information to the system real time. And that includes the reports, the attachments, activities. Okay? So very, very valuable as far as how you are functioning real time and in real life for a project. But same thing happens with, schematics and drawings. And so we can have all of this stuff available, again, offline. But what we can do on top of it, and what it's doing is it's using the iPad or the Samsung or the Microsoft Surface technology for touch, right? And so you can draw this in and say, hey, this is that 8-inch wall that I was talking about. And by the way, on the plan it says 9 in one of them and 8 in another. Which one do you want me to fix? And so you can highlight it very, very easily, send this off to them. You can embed it right in the documentation. So all of that stuff is flowing with the particular project. Okay? So let's talk about the back office. So this stuff, as I said, is, again, always available. It's in the back office, and this is just in your Sage 100 software. But you can see project management and all the same information is available in the office. But the problem is I'm not always in the bloody office. I have to be out at the site or I can't really run the project very well. So therefore, I need access to this. And what it's doing in this real-time basis is these project center software are coming in here, grabbing the purchase orders or the document information and all of this stuff, which is happening either in the back office or in the front in the field, and this stuff is communicating back and forth all the time. Okay. So realistically, even though it's available back in here, you still have got that same information in the field, which makes it much more visible, which certainly can help reduce some of the complaints that our project managers have. So what we're talking about this is a complete solution, and this is where it really gets critical, because some of the competition and some of the other solutions that are out there do not have this full integrated piece, right? They all talk about being able to transfer or move files up and down, but that's not the same as always being able to synchronize. So all the transaction history, all the email communications and history, all the approvals and sign-off dates and times, all of the plans updates and revisions, all of the document management and pictures, and it's going to, whether it's the management, whether it's the owners, whether it's the subcontractors, vendors, or the field project managers. So everybody gets to see this stuff. And if we go back through now and just let's talk about what those original complaints were, and I apologize that we're going through this quickly, but I want to try to do it in half an hour. But the biggest complaint of project managers, the improved communication, collaboration. Well, understand, if I can keep all of those emails running, if I can do all of this stuff, if I can, mass email for each one of the projects and everybody that's involved gets it, I think we can solve this. So let's just check that off. The next one, maintain control over change orders and plans and related approvals. Well, if I've got all of the change order revisions in here, if I can track it by subcontractor, if I can track it by the main project, if I can track it by the various plans and revisions, and I've got all of the sign-off approvals dated and timed, right, so you know when they approved it, then I think we can solve this particular problem. Same thing, fighting to keep the projects on time and on budget. Well, if we've got all of the cost codes and we know when they have to be done, and we can track it, and we've got a system which is controlling it in the background, whether they're on time or not, I think we can do this. And if we've got all of the current budget information and all of the change orders in here, I think we've got this on-budget stuff solved as well, or at least mostly solved. Okay? The other thing is improve accountability by logging and tracking of all activities. Well, we've got the daily activity reports. We've got those daily reports that are coming in. We've got the activities that we can keep track of and everything that's supposed to be going on. So yes, I think we can deal with that as well. And then if we've got all of this documentation happening without me having to remember to, oh, by the way, I got an email in, I got to save it to the project, and I've got to save it someplace else as well. If that is all happening, then the risk of litigation is being reduced. It's not ever going to completely go away, right? But the point is that you can actually keep a little bit of this stuff going where you guys can be and sleep a little bit better at night with regards to that everything is documented. So I think that we can actually reduce some of that stuff as well. So the bottom end is, and really what we're trying to do is this. We want to change your lives with these systems. And I know that sounds kind of, grandiose, but the bottom is we want to change your lives so that you're not having to spend your time working in the project, but you can work on the project. It's the same as working in your business or working on your business. It's being able to take some time to do the analytics to try to make things better rather than just, putting out forest fires and stomping things out. You want to use the software and the technology where it's a benefit to you to actually help you maintain the plans and maintain that project so that it's moving forward. But this is the greatest thing that it's got the potential to give you guys, and it's the ability to step back and start analyzing some of the information that's coming on a project or whether it's your business and or business strategies. Okay? So what we want to do is just finish off with this. Is it right for you? What each of you as a business needs to do is this. You need to take a look at the particular stuff that I just showed you with regards to the project management, with the cost management, with the document management, and say, okay, what is the potential loss or expense if we do not solve the problem where we keep doing manual paper? We lose the paper, we get sued, whatever, right? So all of those expenses you need to go through with your company and just put a number to them. Right? Whether it's 5,000, 10,000, whatever, right? But sit down and say, okay, what's it costing your company, or what did it cost your company last year? And usually what you try to do is do this on an annual basis. So what did it cost you last year if you don't solve these problems? Then what are the cost implications if you don't have better management controls? All right, you build an 8-inch wall rather than a 9-inch, and you got to tear the darn thing out. All of a sudden, that's $50,000. So, but what did it cost you last year because you did not have better controls and communication of your projects? And then the third one is, what are the potential benefits of it having enhanced processes in place? You know, sleeping better at night may not be one of the benefits that you can actually put a dollar amount on. But the point being is that take a look at what the benefits are. You could actually, instead of having, 5 projects is all we can possibly manage right now, maybe you could handle 6, maybe you could handle 8, right? And if you could do that, what is the additional benefit or profitability that your company could generate as a result of this? Okay? And then what you do is you sit down and say, okay, what does it cost for one of these solutions? As I was saying before, realistically, what it's costing you is about $50 a month per manager. And if you've got better project management with one of your managers, think about that. If you cannot take all of this information and have it stored in one place and save $50 a month, I doubt it. Realistically, the number is going to be significantly more than that. But this is really what you want to do. And it's not just that. I mean, there's other setup stuff that has to be there as well. But realistically, take a look at all of these 3 items, which is the potential losses, the impact on if you don't have it, and then the benefits of having it, and then compare it to what the real costs are of putting in a solution. And so I'll finish that off with the questions. And so I'd like to thank you for attending today. And if you do have any other questions, please phone, or if you would like, on our website, we do have some other webinars with regards to the Project Center and just dealing with it as far as the actual functionality.